So welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Comer and I'm a podcast engineer here. And excited to bring you another episode of Revolutionize Your Marketing with Null Study Marketing MA and John Petros, who's known for a little bit now through a mutual contact. And so as the name would suggest, we're talking about marketing, anything connected to marketing, getting yourself out there, any ways to do so, so on. But we're here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, and we'd love to have you come on as a guest. So if you are interested, please let us know, and we can get that figured out. But there's nothing further to do. Bring in our host here, John, to kick us off. Some great guests today. So welcome, John.
Hello, Emily. Thank you, everybody tuning in or watching on the replay on YouTube. We have a special guest tonight. Not my scheduled guest, but shall we say a last-minute fill-in. This gentleman I met probably 2 weeks ago, and we've since had a couple of conversations, and we are teaming up, working on a project of his. Let's bring in Emerson. Emerson Willis, folks.
Hello,
Hey,
guys. How we doing? I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me as a guest here. I'm really honored to be here.
all right, welcome.
Yeah.
Why don't we start off, let people know who you are, where you are, and how you got to what you're doing today.
Okay, sure. Well, as you said, I'm Emerson Willis. I'm actually a senior producer for this really cool company called Limitless. You can see on my hoodie here. You might be familiar with a book, Think and Grow Rich. Well, our company actually is responsible for creating the movie based on the book. So it's an incredible movie. Would absolutely love for everyone on this planet to see it. I'm honored to be involved with this company. But from a personal side, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love music. I play guitar. But more than that, like as far as this interview goes, I'm here as I'm your fellow traveler, if you will, for the journey of this conversation. And I gotta say, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the gentleman who owns Limitless. I'm very honored. His name's Andrew Graham. He's the CEO and owner of Limitless. He's the one who's the visionary of the program. And I'll never forget the day that he invited me to join his journey with Limitless and to really change the world. We believe that by bringing this material to life through entertainment, we're able to connect with more people, through the medium of education, meeting entertainment. So I'm really excited to have this conversation, to dive deeper and maybe even talk a little bit about the material that's in here and what someone might discover if they decide to dive into this stuff. This book sold over 200 million copies. That's a lot of copies. That's like a top 10 selling book of all time. It's not just a good book. This book has probably created more millionaires and billionaires than any other book of its kind. So it's a life changer. I highly recommend that you get this and you really read it and understand it. Don't just read it once.
Like a very famous person out there who spent over 40 some odd years reading the book over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm talking about.
Mr. Bob Proctor?
That's right, Mr. Bob Proctor.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Bob Proctor is a legend, man. He's probably the most qualified, in my opinion, the most qualified mentor. He studied this book every single day of his life for actually over 60 years, every day.
Every time I seen him on the internet, he always had the book either on his desk or in his hand.
That's right. Yeah.
I followed Bob Proctor for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And even without knowing him personally, we kind of fall in love with the guy.
Oh, man. He's just like, sometimes it's just those one-liner statements that he said, and it's because he's got so much wisdom and he's lived and he really understands this material, and he's written several books himself. But I love Bob. I can hear Bob in my head half the time, because we also, in addition to the film Think and Grow Rich, the movie, after the film was done, Andrew was sitting down with Bob, and Bob kind of looking into his soul. He like literally, like, he's just got this presence. He asked Andrew what he wanted to do, and Andrew said, I would like to film you for 2 days straight, and I want you to share everything you've learned in your entire life. I want to go through the 13 principles. And Bob said yes. They flew on a plane up to his home, and they filmed him for 2 days straight. And then was born a cinematic grade experience called Living the Legacy. And that really truly is Bob's legacy material. It's an experience. It's like, I can't even explain it as music. It's got moving images, and Bob just, he performs so incredibly well. And then the way that it was edited, Bob can really just be your mentor. It's like some of the statements he says, John,
Yeah.
they're like, I mean, they're so powerful. They're so powerful what he's learned from this material.
Yeah, it's just he was just an incredible presenter too. Whether he's
Yeah.
talking about the book or talking about how the mind works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I wish I got to know him more
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I agree. I know Andrew was very close with him, and I know several people were part of his journey and got to know him, were mentored by him. And yeah, it's wonderful to have more people like that. One of the things I love about what Bob was about was he believed in mentoring others, but helping other people become mentors so that they could carry that torch and help the world. You know, I feel like Bob's legacy is actually getting bigger as time goes by, not smaller.
Yeah, it is. It is. I actually had the privilege not too long ago, actually,
Mm,
to talk with one of Bob's coaches that was trained by him personally,
really?
and just having a couple of conversations with this person. She was just she was like a shadow of Bob.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
he trained his coaches.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's got several. He had a program, PGI, Proctor Gallagher Institute, and you know, worked with Sandy Gallagher and his son Bob, or sorry, Brian Proctor. We're very close with Brian. Brian is, you know, Bob's living legacy as well, and he's carrying that torch a bit, and he's written some books, and I highly recommend you give him a follow. We love Brian. Is an incredible. I mean, can you imagine? Brian lived with his dad his entire life. He was influenced by him so greatly, and he's I can't imagine what that would be like.
I'm wondering if Brian would even come on my podcast.
Why not? Hey, Brian, if you're listening, come on, let's make this happen. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's my ultimate goal is to bring people with that caliber to
Mm,
this podcast.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's a great opportunity. It's good to have these discussions, because it's through discussions, I think, that you discover other things. You know what I mean? If we're just sitting on our own island, you know, this, who knows I don't know who's watching this right now or who will be watching it in the future. I always when I have these conversations, I think about this material, and I realize sometimes you never know when somebody's going to have a breakthrough. Somebody needs a breakthrough. Maybe they got some change that they're dealing with, depression, addiction. Maybe they're just looking for a fresh new perspective on life. And when we have these conversations, sometimes people don't realize that certain experiences can literally change someone's life. You can be one conversation away from changing somebody's life, you know?
Yeah, that's how I look at our conversation the other day. It was supposed to be what, a half an hour conversation, ended up at least an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I love this stuff. I mean, that when you start talking about this material, it's not hard to really get deep in it, because this material is really, it's so funny when people talk about Think and Grow Rich. I think a lot of people that don't know the material, they hear the word rich and they're like, what is that? Like a get rich scheme, like some sort of self-help book. And it's like, Think and Grow Rich is all about learning to live. Life is supposed to be like a rich experience, right? Not just money, but your mind, your health, your relationships. And this material really is all about getting you into the deep end of that, where a lot of us are kind of we're in the shallows. We're not really experiencing our full potential. And so, but what I love about this material is its principles. It's not, hey, you should do exactly this, but when you understand the principles, it's really about, he actually discovered, because I don't know who knows the story behind this, but Napoleon Hill was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, and he was told to go, he was given the option to go interview so many different people. That's like over 500 different people. He spent 25 years of his life extracting the wisdom and knowledge from some of the most successful individuals in history. And he was able to take all of that information and learn the causes of success and also the causes of failure. You need to know both of those, because if we don't understand those, we're kind of like just trying to navigate it. But when we're studying this material, you're really standing on the shoulders of giants is what you're doing. You're getting a much higher level view of things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think it was just over 500 people he interviewed, and they were all very rich people.
Mm-hmm.
And he extracted their thoughts, good and bad,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
combined all the information together. And that's what that's about.
Yeah, you see a lot of things that are common and Helen's got her hand. We should bring Helen in. She's actually from the Napoleon Hill Institute, and I know she's so much more than just I know she knows this material very, very well. So we should absolutely bring Helen, if you wouldn't mind, bringing her into the show. And so she could be on the screen as well. Is that something we can do, Emily, or who's in charge of that?
Thank you
Emily,
so much, Amazon. Thank you, John. I just want to chime in and share. Like, I have the book opened in front of me.
Yeah,
So it's the 500 were the distinguished men,
that's
such
right.
as Andrew Carnegie himself is one of them. And
Yep.
then Thomas Edison,
Mhm.
Nikola Tesla, and that generation, Charles Schwab, JP Morgan, you name it. That's what meant by what the 500, that's distinguished businessman, equivalent to today's Elon Musk. And
Yeah.
overall, for this book, he actually interviewed over 25,000 people.
Isn't that wild? It's incredible. He also, Helen, you know this too. He also interviewed he got the 30 reasons for failure. So later in the book, you're going to see a section that has the 30 reasons for failure. Maybe you can find it, but he also interviewed, I don't know if it's like 5,000 people that actually failed, if you will. And by definition, failure was they reached the end of life without having achieved their goal. And so he actually found the common reasons for failure. So he found the causes of failure. And when you read those, and if you find any of those properties to be your own, you're like, ooh, I need to figure that. Now I'm aware. I can avoid these things. And so it's so you mentioned, and that's like she just mentioned a handful of these names. There's so many others, it's like Henry Ford, and the list just goes on and on and on. And he spent 25 years of his life just interviewing these people and putting this together. And it's such an incredible book. It's one of those ones you can really slow down and sometimes just stop on certain things and just really think about it. And yeah, there's a reason why there's 13 principles. It's not 7 or 5. They all work together as many pillars together, right? To
Yeah,
achieving the
yeah.
success.
Yeah, exactly. And so, John, that's when Amazon said he has this podcast. I said, okay, I'm your follower. I wanted to go listen and learn. And
Yeah.
whenever people already have this book, I'm always asking, are you a millionaire yet? If not, let's work together. You already have the book. If not, then there is some hiccup. Let's help get
smooth out the hiccup, the blocks, and this is the law of success.
That's right.
And it's like the law of gravity. You drop an apple, where it goes to the ground. If you already understand, yes, if you already understand the law of success, if you are not getting success, three words: good health, foundation, rich wealth, my God, $1 million rank, blissful happiness.
Mhm.
Three goes hand in hand. For me, that's success. The three you have to have all three.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree so much. It's so true. I'm so glad that it's funny. Helen and we literally just connected probably 5 minutes before the podcast was coming on, and we're discussing some different things out in the world. So, navigating the world of business, building a business, or being a coach, or marketing. John, you're familiar with marketing, and we've talked about
It
that.
is.
Yeah, it's
Now we can
it's
see you, Helen.
there she is. She's got the
Right.
she has that version. I have the
Yep.
paperback one, but
I have both.
I like yours.
And actually, I have 100 of this on my bookshelf. That's how much I'm passionate about the Think and Grow Rich. I
Yeah,
truly think it is the law of success, just like the law of gravity.
I agree. And Napoleon Hill, he has another really incredible book I would highly recommend, and it's Outwitting the Devil. And this book right here, honestly, it was actually held under lock and key for I think like 70 years or something like that. I'm looking at the thing right now. But his wife did not want him to release this book because it was so controversial at the time, and she was afraid that he would lose his career and his job. This is such an interesting book. I actually recommend that you get it on Audible because the way they did the voices, oh my gosh, this book goes hand in hand with Think and Grow Rich. It's a big one. It's a big one.
So agree. My favorite. My journey, I started with the Think and Grow Rich. And then what really got me opened up is the one you hold, the Outwitting the Devil. That's the one I go, wow, I can relate to every bit of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's he was well ahead of his time on this book, because if you realize, I think it was written in 19 no the stuff he's talking about wasn't happening yet, but then it absolutely is happening. So anyways, yeah, the material is really awesome. The thing I love so much about it is the book in and of itself. You definitely want to study it. The film that we have, Think and Grow Rich, the movie, has really brought to life some of the narrative scenes. So there's the scene with Thomas Edison and his mother at the beginning of the film, where Edison was sent home from school, and they basically said he was adult. He was not fit for school. You're gonna have to train him at home yourself. And his mom actually got the letter and said completely otherwise. She said, "Oh, they sent you home because you're too smart, and I'm going to have to train you." And so she totally changed the mindset of what Napoleon Hill viewed himself as. And of course, he became the most incredible inventor. And then he realized later that his mom had spoken that into him and trained him. And that scene right there, by the way, has inspired Limitless to create another film that we're about 80% finished with, called Mom's Rising. So that exact scene, we wanted to extract the idea of like the spirit of motherhood. So Andrew Graham, our CEO, was single-handedly raised by his own mother. And he doesn't really feel like the moms of this world have really truly been understood and what role they play on this planet. And so again, it all comes from this material though. And so yeah, in the film we do narrative scenes. So we brought to life the Thomas Edison scene, the Henry Ford scene, the many of the scenes, and then we have interviews throughout them. And so the people being interviewed are some of the greatest thought leaders that we've had that are from current times. We've had some really cool people in there. And it just really helps inspire people and light that spark and that flame, that fire underneath you, that burning desire. Because by the time someone gets done watching this film, they're in this place where I think they're like, what am I going to do next? I'm ready to go do something now. Like, so the film is a real catalyst to help people understand that this book is much more than just a book, you know?
So well said. Thank you, Emerson. And then, so
Yeah,
in summary, it summarized as uh, believe, conceive, believe, and achieve, right? Whatever the mind can imagine and believe, the mind can achieve. Hold that strong will, and you will find the way to do it.
absolutely. That's absolutely true. Yeah, thoughts, our mind, if you can't get a control of what's happening in here in your mind, you're not going to be able to control what's happening out here in the world very easily. So once you get a handle on this, everything stems from that, because thoughts are things, right? Thoughts,
Yeah.
that's what Bob says, thoughts are things. And it's just so incredible. Whatever you focus your mind on, wherever that attention flows, like that is, we can literally create our own reality just by the way we think.
You reminded me of one of Bob's teaching. He's like, look at your hand. I actually do want you to look at your hand. So the electron energy reaction powering this hand is enough to power a building for 1 week. And think of this. This is just one hand, this
Mhm.
hand here. And Bob always joke when people wake up and they ask them, say, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm tired. He's like, what are you talking about? We are full, we are an energy house. Our body's energy house. Like, how can we not be always full of energy and
Mhm.
go create, make things happen?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a powerful statement. And John, we don't mean to take over your show. What
That's
questions
funny.
do you have for us?
Um, I don't know.
Well, that's okay. So I got an idea here. So one of the things I always love to do when we get on Zoom calls is I like to talk about certain aspects. Like for example, so of course we've got the film. For example, let's take the first chapter in Think and Grow Rich. It's desire, right? So and desire is interesting because it's not desire is like the gas in the tank. If you want to do something, right? Let's say a lot of people wish for things, right? I wish I could have $1 million. I wish I could be this. I wish I could be that. Desire, if you don't have desire, that burning desire that you feel, it's almost like having a vehicle without gas in the tank. You got to have the desire, right? And
Yeah.
burning desire is usually attached to what definiteness of purpose. So like, what is it that really matters to you? What do you really want? And then when you get so attached to it emotionally, that burning desire is what drives you. It's like magnetism towards your goal, right? So you get to a point where you're so driven, you're willing to do whatever it takes to reach that goal. It doesn't matter what anyone says, no matter how hard it may seem. That's when you start to feel like passion and dedication. And, this is what makes anything possible.
And you talked about parenthood in this Burning Desire chapter. Napoleon Hill himself, one of his sons were born with no ears.
Mhm.
At birth, doctor proclaimed he's gonna have a deaf and mute son. His burning desire as a parent, he said, my son is going to be able to talk and hear and live his life like any other normal human being. And he dedicated that burning desire by age 4. The boy has no ear, were able to gain 65% of his hearing. At that age, in the 1900s, it was a medical miracle. And
Mhm.
doctors from around the world heard about it, came to do X-ray and etc. They were like, this is cannot medically be explained. So that's the power of the burning desire.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you mentioned he had this adversity, this thing where he couldn't hear. And a lot of people can relate to this. And one of my favorite quotes, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one, but one of my favorite quotes that Napoleon Hill had said, he said, with every adversity is a seed of equal or greater opportunity. So when you are experiencing some sort of adversity, and it doesn't say with some adversities, every adversity comes with a seed of equal or greater opportunity. When you look at the world through that lens, because we're all going to have adversities, it's going to happen. We do not like it should, especially if you're pursuing your dreams, you're absolutely going to experience adversities, but those things actually become like your advantages. Those things actually become things that open doors for you. And I'm not saying that every adversity is a walk in the park. Sometimes people experience really difficult health challenges, or maybe they have losses. How many people have experienced a massively challenging financial adversity where they've lost everything? Well, if you look at that as an opportunity with a seed of equal or greater opportunity, your mind starts doing different things. And then things start to happen. A lot of the most successful people, if you hear their stories, they'll tell you they had a point in their life where they had lost it all. They were like homeless, or they went, financially bankrupt or something like that. So a lot of times we see our circumstances in the world as they control the way we think. We have to be very careful that we don't allow our circumstances to decide what's happening in here. And I think that's why this material is so good, is because he's really allowing us to become aware of how to function no matter what, whether it's adversity, whether things are going great. And so, yeah, it's interesting because in that position you were talking about, his son couldn't hear, but and that now we're diving into some other things like faith too. The second principle is faith. And that's I love that principle. I think Bob Proctor, he said he searched and searched and searched for the best definition on faith. And the one that he arrived on was by a guy named Clarence Smithison. And his definition of faith was, it wasn't his, but he said, it's my favorite one I found. He says, faith is the ability to see what no man has seen before, and to believe in the incredible, and which will permit you to access to that which the masses believe is impossible. So when you see something that no one can see, but you believe in the incredible, all of a sudden it's like you got an access pass, and the rest of the world doesn't think it's possible, but you get the access pass. They go, how in the world did that guy achieve that? He had faith. He had faith.
Yeah. True.
You
It
know?
has a lot to do with it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, she took a life coaching course all of last year. She's starting to do it again, repeat the course. And the whole first half of the year, what they do is they teach them how to rethink their mind, how to program their mind into realizing things. And since she started doing that, she thinks it's strange. She understands it now. And now my daughter's picking up on it. She can think of calling somebody, and the phone will ring and it'll be that person. And it happens more and more frequently. But like I said in other podcasts, your mind controls what goes on. And this is what I think Napoleon Hill and I know Bob Proctor preached and talked about all the time, is the way the mind works. And it's, if people would just sit back and read and understand how the mind does work, their lives will be changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even just the mind. Think about right now, the three of us are on this call because we tuned in onto the same frequency through our laptop, and we physically made ourselves available, right? So we are on this same frequency, and it was not meant to happen, but it happened. Kind of like
And it
you
did.
were saying that, how the magic happened to your wife, right? So the mind,
Yeah.
the energy, the frequency. And so I love the other, I wish I have an acorn with me, but it's in the backyard. Okay. So About that little acorn, you hold it in your hand. It's so small. You look at that oak tree. How did it go from that tiny little bitty acorn to that tree? So that's the best way I can describe to people who has to attach mind, which is invisible, to something visible, right? So when you have that acorn, it has the energy, you plant it, it start absorbing the nearby energy and start growing into that big tree. So that's the power of the mind. So
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It so is. It's the mind, if you think about it, you have, here's the funny thing when you get into the book, there's the brain, which is the mechanism, it's the actual organ, but your mind is your brain is inside, it can't see outside, it's in a dark place. So, but how does it experience stuff? Your mind is something bigger than that. It's something that's fully connected. And you said something about frequencies and tuning in. You've reminded me of something Bob would talk about. So let's say that somebody wants to pick up, so let's talk about the radio for a second. Let's say somebody wants to pick up an FM channel, but they're on the AM frequency. You're never going to pick up an FM channel on the AM frequency. And the same is true for life, because let's say you want to become happy, healthy, and wealthy, but that's on the FM frequency, and you're over here on the AM frequency thinking about poverty and bad negativity, everything. You're on the wrong channel. You're not going to pick it up. So how you get to that channel is you tune your mind into that frequency. And then all of a sudden you start to see, you get the new channel. And the same is true when you're around other people, because sometimes when you're connected with a person who's on a really bad channel, if you don't want to be on that channel, you got to change the channel, get on a different frequency. It's very, very important. It's energy. It's all energy. And here we're on the same frequency on this Zoom call, and somebody else is on the other side tuning in, listening to us, and maybe they're connecting with what we're saying. I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah, that's um like I always said, to small businesses I talk to, their mindset has a lot to do with how well their business does too.
That's right.
And I'm surprised that some of these small business owners haven't even heard of the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
And that's me and you, Emerson. I think that's what our goal is to get the word out about it more.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's great. It's great. It's okay to start with a movie, or if you want to get the book, whatever, but just this material will change your life. It will. And we have the ability to, so Bob also talks about animals. If you look in the world and you see animals, right? They can see, they can hear, they can smell and do a lot of things, but they're perfectly comfortable in their own environment. They're perfectly comfortable, a rabbit or whatever. They're made for their environment. Human beings, we're the only creature that is not comfortable in our environment. We can literally change and create our own environment. So a lot of people don't realize that the environment that you live in, you have created it. It is an extension of your thoughts.
It's true. Yep.
Yep. And so if you don't like your environment, you change your thoughts so you can change your reality. You have to change it's from the inside out, not from the outside in. So a lot of people think, I need more money, I need more of this. You need to change from the inside out to change the outside.
I love you. I love this thoughts. And so the best way, thoughts create feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings create actions.
Mm-hmm.
Actions lead to results.
That's right.
That's why our thoughts create things, create the results.
And that's why his book is titled Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, it starts with thinking. It's so wild, it's so simple, yet you don't realize it. I mean, you can tell a lot about a person too when you start to hear the words that come out of our mouth, because there's only three things we can control: our thoughts, our words, and our actions. They're all connected. And so when you hear words that are coming out of someone's mouth, those are preceding thoughts. Those are coming after thoughts, which is having a lot to do with what's happening. And so that's why a person like Bob could get to know a person pretty quickly and know what's going on in their life, just based on their presence and things like that. And yeah, it's this stuff's powerful. And you know what? I've met many CEOs and very successful people that will tell you that they built their entire life around these principles, and that's why they're successful
And happy.
and happy. And really, success is not just about money. I think money is a wonderful thing. We need it. It's just a tool. It allows us to express ourselves more and do things differently. But a lot of people, if they're just chasing the money, I think the money is actually more of like the report card. Money is a byproduct of doing good and doing and adding more value to the world. It's the law of compensation, right? So when you create value and you create anything, there's literally just the way that oxygen is flowing throughout the air right now. Money is constantly flowing through and to and all over the world. It's just a resource and it's so abundant, but you have to tune into it. It's just like anything else. Love is the same way. Relationships are the same way. You just tune into it. It's flowing. It's constantly there. That the world's a very abundant place. If you look outside and you see all the trees and all the life out there, it's very abundant. So yeah, it's I love this material. Hey, do you mind if I do something? Do you mind if I share, just because we've talked so much about Bob, like just 2 minutes
Yeah.
of the big, yeah.
Before you do, I just brought up one quote that I like that Bob always said.
Yeah.
Don't have to know how to do it. You just have to know that you can.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, you don't need to know how, you don't need, he's talked about a lot about that. Sometimes when you make a decision, you don't necessarily know how you're going to get there. You just know that you're going to get there. I'm going to figure it out. I am heading in that direction. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
Love that. He always start his sessions with, "What do you want? What do you really, really, really want? And
Yeah.
what you want, when you have that burning desire, you will get it."
Mhm. Yes, it's so true. It's funny talking about burning desire. Then I'll share this thing. It's like people get confused with the desire thing and a wish, and it's very tricky. And I think a way to really understand that. So think about this. Imagine you're stranded in the middle of a dense forest, right? And the temperature is dropping, it's getting cold, and you wish for a fire, you know. But wishing alone is not going to keep you warm. It's not going to build a fire. And so you need to take action, right? And so you've got to gather some twigs, you got to find some starter, you got to put in the effort to create a spark somehow. And, you know, eventually you twist the twigs and all of a sudden you go faster and faster and there's a little bit of smoke and you blow on it and you're nurturing that tiny little spark until it bursts into flames, right? You add some more wood on it and soon enough you have literally a roaring fire that keeps you warm. But here's the catch. If you ignore the fire, if you stop tending to it, it's also going to eventually die out. So with a little bit of care and attention, you can keep burning that bright. And that's what burning desire is like. So it's not just a wish, it's a fire. And you got to keep the fuel and the hard work and the dedication. So, you know, that, you know, and I've met some people that are like, I don't know what I want. Like, I don't have a passion. Like, how do I find that? Well, you got to do some digging and really find out like what, you know, you got to do some digging, because without it, you're not going to go too far. So let's do this. I want to share the beginning of Living the Legacy, since we've been talking about Bob so much. And I want to give you guys a teaser. We couldn't possibly watch all of it. It's over 6 hours of Bob just giving his entire life of wisdom. And so do I have the ability to share? Yeah, I do. It does.
You
Good.
do?
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me if I have confirmation. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to just do like a couple minutes. I know that we're almost on the hour, but I just want to share this with you guys. It's probably a great kind of grand finale here. So check this out.
There is an intelligence which permeates every atom of matter and embraces every unit of energy perceptible. This infinite intelligence converts acorns into oak trees, causes water to flow downhill in response to the law of gravity, follows night with day and winter with summer. This intelligence may, through the principles of this philosophy, be induced to aid in transmuting desires into concrete or material form. But does it really work in the real world? There's only one way to find out. Hello there and welcome. Do you know, you and I are supposed to be here. We're in the right place at the right time. There are no accidents in this whole universe. Everything operates in an orderly way. You've been wandering around, I would imagine, with a desire inside that you really want to improve any or maybe all areas of your life. What you're going to hear will enable you to change that. And this is all about you. It's not about me, it's about you. I'm going to share information with you that really originated way back in 1908 from the wealthiest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie. He commissioned a young reporter to go out and find the laws that govern success. There were successful people, himself, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, some of the giants that we look at in history as names that they'll live forever. And he said it was a shame that these people were going to go to their grave with all this knowledge locked up in their bones. And he said, I think it should be recorded. And that young man, Napoleon Hill, he took Carnegie's challenge and he went and worked at that until 1928, when he wrote The Laws of Achievement. And then in 1937, from it came the book, one of the greatest selling books of all time, Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, he pointed out, after all these years of research, that he found there were 30 major causes of failure. But there were only 13 ideas that contributed to a person accumulating a fortune or enjoying real success. One of the things I found interesting is at the end of the 30 major causes of failure, he put 31. He said, if I've missed any, you can fill this in. And I would imagine that someone has filled that in. So I want you to really pay close attention. This is not an ordinary film that you're watching. These are not ordinary ideas. These ideas are coming from 57 years of focused study by myself and tens and tens of years by Napoleon Hill. But it's really the composite of some of the greatest minds that ever lived. Because he did research with these people for so long, kept picking their brain. In fact, he became very close friends with them. And what caused them to do many of the things they were doing, the ideas that got the Wright brothers off the ground, that enabled Henry Ford to build the car he built. These ideas.
It's so good. You could keep watching it. It just captures you. But I think that, if this isn't inspiring someone enough to get their copy of Think and Grow Rich, I don't know what else would. and to start really diving into this material, because it's all about you. Like you said, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about what you want. It's not for me, whatever you want.
Yeah, this is so good, Emerson. Thank you for sharing. You lit up a fire in me as well. So what is the richest place on earth? It's the graveyard. Think of all the dreams buried. And if people could have turned their dreams, took action, and turned those dreams into wealth, into treasures, what a beautiful world we would be in today.
Yep. It's so true. It's kind of like your ideas and your dreams, they're like children. And I know men cannot give birth to children, but your ideas that you do not put into reality, into action, are like your unborn, children. They're not, you have to get them out. You have to put them into the world and nurture them and let them grow.
Yep.
Yep. Anything's possible. So anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. There you go.
Exactly.
Hope you're muted.
I had one of the kids leaving that was saying bye. If you didn't hear it. I have something on my desk that I keep here to remind me. I have a
Mhm.
friend who is an artist and he works at a desk at a hospital. So a lot of quiet time. He takes these little square pieces of paper
Mhm.
and does drawings. And this is my motivation sitting on my desk.
I love it. Take the leap.
Take the leap. Wow, love it.
Should put
Take
that
the
on a
leap.
shirt. That's cool. I like that. That's a cool drawing.
My daughter does crafts and we were discussing that. I asked the guy if we could do it. He goes, "The picture is yours. I gave it to you."
That is amazing. That is so cool. I love that. I love that photo a lot. I could see that being a book or something. Take the leap.
Well, that could be the cover right there.
I know. Why not? I mean,
Right
yeah.
there. And that could be the next Think and Grow Rich. Take the leap,
Yeah.
right? 200
Yep.
million copies sold worldwide.
What's so brilliant about this material, guys, is each one of us is just has so much potential, so much limitless potential. And when you understand this material, it's what unlocks it. That's why we're so excited to share this material with the rest of the world, because there's kids out there, there's people out there that just need they need an adjustment, maybe a small adjustment, maybe a big adjustment. But you know what? How will we change the future when this becomes common knowledge?
Yeah. On something you were saying a little while ago, here's a quote by Bob Proctor.
Mhm.
The ruling mental state is everything. Your inner faculties are where it's really happening, not outside of us. What you
Mhm.
think produces your life.
That's right.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
what I've been thinking is
Mhm.
what you think. Just control your thoughts. 3 words. It's so simple. Stay always on the positive side. When we practice it, it's so hard. And that's where I think, just so glad to be here, spread out the message that from the Emerson Willis, your video production, and from the Napoleon Hill Institute, the coaches, we are here to help people, guide them and help them. And then we all need that little help sometimes, just someone walking next to you, hold your hand, and give you that inspiration when you're about to give up. You say, come on, let's go do it. The success and failure oftentimes is just that final step or 2 steps.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's so good. Yeah, I love this stuff. I can't get enough of it, but you have to realize too, you're not alone. We're not alone. And that's why I love to bring people together, whether it be on calls like this or whether it be through common interests, the book. We should be having more conversations like this in the world, and you don't have to study this material by yourself. There's a lot of people who will get together and study this. And I also will recommend, if you haven't gotten yourself a mentor, it's good. So the greatest mentors always pursued getting a mentor. And whether that mentor is a book for you for now, it's a good start. But some of my favorite mentors I've had several mentors that would stretch their abilities, take them out of their comfort zone. Because I mean, your mind is your greatest asset, and you want to protect it like gold. It's like your mental health is it's the body you don't see, but it's like a storage tank. Every thought, stress, or emotion, it gets stored there. And if you don't handle it and separate it and organize it, it's going to overflow and turn into things like overwhelm, doubt, frustration, all that stuff. But successful people know this. And a cluttered mind will lead to a cluttered life. But when you master your thoughts, you unlock clarity, confidence, and you can really focus and build a truly rich life full of all the key abundance things, you know, your health, your wealth, relationships, all that stuff. So you want to get that your thoughts are your greatest asset, your mind.
So well said.
Mhm. Yes. This is awesome. So what's the story? What's like, how do these podcasts work, John? Does it end at a certain point, or do we just keep going until the sun goes down? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, you're muted.
Keep forgetting we have another kid that's leaving. That's why it was on mute.
That's okay.
Before we leave, too, I mean, we could go on if you people want to keep talking, we can. I don't think Kurt has anything coming up, but Kurt, if you're there, you have any questions to pop in here with? Let me see if he's. Kurt, are you?
I think he
Yeah.
might be he might be, I bet you he's on another call or, you know, double time. And so, yeah, no, it's okay. I do. I love this conversation. Like I said, I think we need to have more stuff like this. And there's a business out there, you know, in this world, like what we're doing with Limitless. You can actually make personal development something that you can do for a living. And that's a really fun thing to do, because if you do what you love for a living, you get to love what you do for a living, you know? And so I find a lot of people that I run into who are working in careers they don't necessarily like, you know, and they're not living a passionate, it's okay to work. It's okay. But like, you should really find what it is you want to do. And I know that Napoleon Hill said one of the best things you can do if you don't know what to do is just start by learning this material and sharing it and teaching it with others. And it will, you know, you'll figure out how to get yourself in alignment with the finances and things like that. So that's where we have, I know Napoleon Hill Institute has programs, Limitless has programs. We have things called like Limitless Inner Circle. We have affiliate programs where people can share our movie and stuff, and they can actually earn handsome rewards. Like, there's so much you can do. You know, if you surround yourself with positive content, positive people, and positive thoughts, it's going to make it easier to make those positive habits a reality, you know, which will
Exactly.
change your
Yeah,
life.
thank you, Emerson. Now just thinking, I'm not sure how John's podcast goes, and if interested, we can even do a regular part, make it a Think and Grow Rich study
Yeah.
series, right? And Emerson and
Yeah.
I can be happy to be the co-host together with John. And actually, John, you mentioned your wife is doing some coaching herself. Then, hey,
Mhm.
bring her on board.
Don't threaten me with a good time. No, I'm just kidding. I love it.
Before I forget, I want each of you to let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. So,
Helen,
Helen, how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, great. Thank you. So, I'm a certified coach at Napoleon Hill Institute, and you can reach me at my email, info at successforyou.club. Four is number four. Success for you as you letter U dot club. Thank you, and it's been an honor, and so I feel very blessed to be here to spread the message to people so they know that there is help, and we are each of us is born rich. We just needed to unlock the potential of our mind.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm so glad this worked out. You would have never planned this. And you know, it's sometimes those last minute things are the best. So, yes, definitely get in touch with Helen. Actually, I know that Helen and I will be doing some work together because we just have so much, whether it be these calls or doing stuff over at Limitless. If you guys want to make a difference in the world, you definitely going to want to come find out what we're doing at Limitless, because you can absolutely get involved. It doesn't matter where you're at on the journey. If you're brand new or if you're a seasoned coach, it doesn't matter. So at Limitless, you could start off by just watching the film, you know, takeactionmovie.com, just like you spell it, takeactionmovie.com. You can go watch the film there. I'll give you a cool little tip. when you fill out the form, you can pay for the movie and own it. If you don't end up buying it, we're going to just send you messages until you get it for free anyways. So we are pretty adamant about people seeing this film. We don't think that seeing this film should be predicated on whether you have money or not. We want everybody to see it. So takeactionmovie.com, you'll be going into a world where I can connect with you there. So you can get in touch with me there. You can also connect with me personally at Connect with M. That's Connect, WITHE, the letter M.com, connectwithm.com. And you'll see my case study video. I'm very honored to have once been a customer of this film. I bought the movie from an Instagram post and it changed my life. So you never know when things are going to change. And maybe it's changed for you to watch this movie and some's going to change. But I ended up on a phone call with Andrew Graham, who's the CEO. And we got to know each other really well. He invited me on this journey a couple years ago. And so he invited me to spearhead this project. It was called Living the Legacy at the time, which was based off of Bob Proctor's material. And so I got to be the first person in the program, and people that would buy the film would come in and I'd get to meet them on a call, talk with them, learn about them, invite them into the program. And we built a pretty large organization. We had to kind of readjust some things. And now we've got a bunch of technology involved. And we allow people to be able to distribute this film from their own business. Almost, it's not quite a franchise, but you get to keep 80% of the revenue and you get all of our assets, all of our resources. And it's incredible. You don't have to make a movie yourself. You don't have to spend millions of dollars. All of everything's there. And so Limitless Inner Circle is something that I think it would be a great business for anybody. Bob talked a lot about multiple streams of incomes, MSIs. It's good to have multiple streams of income because some of them will be bigger than others. Some will be smaller. Sometimes one will dry up, but most successful people have at least 7 streams of income. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, and also the other thing I love about your model, quoting Bob again, wealth is when you are sleeping, it's your multiple source platform are making money for you. So when you wake up, you can go spend and enjoy.
That's right.
Your model
Yeah.
fits perfectly into this.
Well, if I think most people, and I say most people, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I would think most people would like to have more freedom in life, right? To be able to do what they want, when they want, with who they want, and to be able to make decisions not based on, hey, can I afford it or not, and be able to help people. But the business model that we do have definitely plays into that because, I think it was Warren Buffett. He says, if you don't learn how to make money in your sleep, you're going to work for the rest of your life because you're trading time for money. And there's a lot of ways to create one of my favorite types of income. It used to be I was in the insurance space and my dad taught me, residual income is the best kind because it just keeps coming, right? So I got in the insurance space and it was annual. But with the program like what we have monthly reoccurring revenue models. So you can literally start to stack and build monthly reoccurring revenue. And that's the kind of stuff that you can pay your mortgage with, your house insurance. You can be on vacation and still be making money. You can do, anything's possible if you have the right business model, and especially if you have great products and resources to make a difference in the world, you're going to feel really good about putting your head on the pillow at night when you go to sleep. You're going to go, man, I make a difference in people's lives, and that's important.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. So that's it. So connect with them or takeactionmovie.com and you'll find me. You don't meet a lot of people with the name Emerson Willis. So if you Google me, you'll probably find me.
And what's those books again? You want to hold
the
those
books.
books up?
All right. So we've got Think and Grow Rich. Got to get that one.
That's the
Okay.
paperback. Helen has the hardcover.
Helen has the leather one. You can show yours. And then we've got Outwitting the Devil. And now this is my personal opinion. Actually, I know we're talking about Think and Grow Rich. I honestly think if I could have done it backwards, I would have read this one first, and then I would read Think and Grow Rich. It's just my opinion.
Same. I would even say that that book needs to be a mandatory study at high school.
Yeah, absolutely. It should. And then I'll share one other book, and this is one that Bob talked a lot about, but we've studied a lot of these. But this is another book you should have in your collection, Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. This book will blow your mind. It's so good. I know there's so many great books, but these right here, these ones stay very close to me. Several times. So yeah, you notice they're always here. They're always on my desk because, well, first and foremost, we made the movie, so I'm always talking about it. But sometimes I'll just open the book and I'll just read something out of it, and I'll just like be re-inspired by it. But yeah, so that's I think that's kind of the gist of it. And I think the challenge that I would put out to anybody here, myself included, is what one big thing do you want to do next? Like, what's one action item that you can put on your list that you haven't maybe pursued yet? Some big step that you can take in the direction towards where you really want to be. You know what I mean? Like and that's between yourself and your next day or whatever, but take a step forward or a big leap, and keep going.
Which that, Edmondson, what you just said leads into another quote that Bob always said. If you wait until you know how to do it, you'll never do it.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yep.
Jump
So
with that leap of faith.
yep.
That leap of faith in yourself.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. And my LLC I have that's behind the scenes here is called Take Massive Action. Oh, it's actually called Massive Action. And I believe that the way that you make things happen is through action. Just take action. You know what I mean? It's all about action. Action leads to results, right? But you have to think to take action. Sometimes you just got to go for it. But so taking action. And sometimes if I'm like hesitating to make a phone call or something like that, I just pick it up and just do it. Just do it.
Hey, Emerson, that's how you and me met. 10 minutes prior to the call, we called each other, and here we're having a podcast together.
Yeah, I could have procrastinated and said, "Oh, I'll call her after the call." I was like, "No, I'm calling her right now. I'm gonna call her right now." Ed sent me a message and said, you were having we could talk about this real quick before we go. When if you're a coach, you're someone who's wanting to run a business online. I see a lot of people that struggle because maybe they understand their product really well. Maybe you're like an insurance broker, or you're a coach or whatever, but building the business part, like the website and all of the technology that goes behind the scenes, I see a lot of people get stuck there because there's a million different services in the world, right? We can use this website stuff or this or that or the other, and you end up feeling like you're duct taping all these services and things together. I see a lot of people just get stuck there and frustrated and angry, and they're like, I can't make any money, and then they quit. And so that's one of the challenges that we have tackled over at Limitless is bringing all the services necessary to run a business and kind of taking out a lot of the guesswork. And but yeah, don't be discouraged with that kind of thing. I mean, even like, I know, John, you're in marketing. I've hired some marketing groups that I performed better than they did, but I thought that they were going to be good. And then I spent money. I was like, these aren't really great results. And I tried to do it myself. And I was like, I was more passionate about it. So I actually performed better than them. But, sometimes it's really, as a consumer or as a person who wants to that needs services to run your business, we have to be careful because we're also vulnerable sometimes as targets to what services should I use? Right. And I don't say that to scare people, but there are some really great technologies, and it's important to make sure that you have good infrastructure for your business, because sometimes people will just throw up a website and they think they have a business. There's so much more that needs to happen behind that. You have to have something that manages your customers. You have to have some workflows and ways to communicate with them so that you can actually make sales, right? And even if you have the best website in the world, you also need traffic, right? If you don't have traffic, it's like setting up a coffee shop out in the middle of the desert. I'm not going to sell a lot of coffee out in the middle of the desert, right? Even if it's the best tasting coffee in the world. So there are people that are experts at the traffic part too. And sometimes you do have to pay for traffic, paid ads or something like that, but you can also you got to be careful with that too, because sometimes you got to make sure your offer is converting. Because sometimes I've seen like, you know, you have a page or something that you're selling a product on, and you send traffic there. And if your page isn't converting, you're going to spend a lot of money, and it's just like, dang, what's happening? It's so I will tell you
Yeah.
guys, I know that John has a wealth of knowledge in the marketing world. I have experience. I've made a lot of mistakes in marketing, and that's helped me learn what not to do. Sometimes those mistakes are expensive, you know.
Like you were just saying, there's a lot of different pieces to the marketing.
Yeah.
I had multiple platforms that I would use for different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was given a special offer to this one platform where everything is included in this one platform.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep adding more to it, and they keep adding AI into it. So
Yeah.
when you do something in one place, it copies over to the other places.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
kind of helps the ROI. Instead
Yeah.
of paying for multiple platforms, it's all in one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was talking with Helen about. What's kind of unique about the Limitless platform is we have a great product. We have a great sales page. It's been tried and tested with millions of dollars worth of traffic. And then we're capturing clients on the back end, and people can use that to capture clients and then sell them other things. But if you're making an ROI on the front end, you've already got a tried and tested model. So that's one of the things that we wanted to do, is build something that could work for anybody. And I call that like duplication. Like if you can create something that can work for anybody, then you can rinse and repeat, and anybody can enjoy the success from that. And you know, sometimes, like for example, I was talking with Helen, if you want to do coaching or whatever it is, because I know that she wants to do a lot more than that. But if you drive traffic, let's say to someone who wants to watch Think and Grow Rich, the movie, a certain type of person is going to buy a movie like that, right? A certain person who wants something. They're either fans of Bob Proctor, they're fans of Think and Grow Rich. Maybe they're just someone who's looking for a little bit more in life. So the type of clientele that you attract with your products is going to have an effect on the type of leads and customer base you're going to get, right? And so that's one thing I'm really, really excited to say that we've accomplished with the Think and Grow Rich stuff. There's this massive audience of people in the world that are like, they don't even know our film exists yet, you know, and it's exciting because we're going to keep spreading the word until we get to the next movie and everyone's seen it. You know, so
Very excited. I can see that your platform is gonna have help millions of people, finding what they want to do and release their potential and grow from that acorn to that oak tree.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Talking about the movie Emerson, who
Yeah.
else do you have interviews in that movie with?
Okay, so the list I can think of off the top of my head right now, we've got, of course, the famous Bob Proctor we've mentioned. We have Grant Cardone before he actually got really big. We have Rob Deerdeck, the guy that's on the TV show. Great guy, really understands this material. Lewis Howes, Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank, Sharon Lecter. She was the one that actually did work on Outwitting the Devil. You see her name there, Sharon Lecter. She works very closely with the foundation. Dennis Kimbrough, he was involved with Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. Who else is in there? Oh man, there's a couple names I'm missing. Warren Moon, the first ever Black quarterback, was interviewed. Oh, there's a whole slew of other individuals. There's a guy, he was a TV show guy. He became blind. Why is his name stumping my, darn it. Yeah, so that's a list off the top of my head that I can think of. But yeah, what's nice is in the interviews in the movie, you're going to really hear them talking about certain essences like we've talked about today that they've experienced along their journey and having success. But they use this material to become this material played a very big role in the success of their lives. So it's kind of a cool synergy. Oh, I think you're muted.
keep forgetting. Got
No,
background
you're
noise.
good.
I walk out.
No worries.
Emily, you ready to take us out of here? I think we're done.
Yeah, we're good. We had a great session, guys. And
Unless Kurt wants to come in and ask some questions, if he's around.
Great. Just wanted to thank Emerson and Helen for coming on today. Again, you're welcome back anytime. Again, we are here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern. And we'd love to have you come on as guests, or just let us know. You can connect with me. Call or text at 608-886-9801. And please check out our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. And some of the other groups are working with, the Disability Channel, our Conservative Transform U, Start Cleaning the Pack Channel, Lawrence Wingate Studios, and OIM's the Midwest Plans and Podcast. They're doing, and so until next time, hope everybody has a great